Speed. Every athlete wants it, but most don't know what it takes to actually earn it. Too many of you guys are training the wrong way, or you guys believe that either you have speed or you don't have it. So today's guest is Fred Alcazar, otherwise known as Coach CZAR, founder of CZAR Athletics and Oklahoma's first certified universal speed rating labs. That's a mouthful. He's helping athletes rethink how we build speed and really backing up with data and results. We were just chatting offline, like lots of data to this. So we'll break down what really improves speed, how tech is changing the game, and why most athletes are leaving speed on the table. So, Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be requested on. I hope to provide some value to you and the audience.
Yeah, no, this will be good. And I like this. I have this first question I'm really excited about because I think you have a really unique and an important answer to this. So, my first question for you is speed something you're born with or something you build?
To me, that's a two-sided thing, right? To me, people always talk about nature versus nurture, and what I'd like to talk about is nature times nurture. Some people may not come out fast just based off of their experience of the surroundings that they grew up in. I grew up in California. Everyone's fast because we're always outside, especially my age. I'm 48. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, we were always outside. We didn't have social media like we did today or technology. We were outside. We and the weather allowed it. It was cold, but it wasn't that cold. I was still outside playing football with my buddies during the Super Bowl. So you can't do that in Oklahoma. So sometimes that plays a factor. So again, some of it is genetics, but we always want to nurture the genetics that you have. You know, speed. People, and I also like to tell people what speed actually is. Speed is just distance over time. Long distance runners think that they don't need to do speed work. I totally disagree. I said, whenever there's a clock and you're being measured and there's a time, you're dealing with speed. So you need to work on speed all the time, especially in most sports. So it is not just one or the other. There's a lot of gray area in it. And that's a great question I get a lot. And you can
Yeah.
build it. You can definitely build it and make yourself better and faster.
So I know a lot of athletes, I think nowadays where it's shifting, but I know growing up, like I felt like I was born with what I had, and this is what I can't really develop it, especially with speed. Like I genetically, we have a little bit more speed, explosiveness in my family. Like my brother was 5'11" and could dunk. But how can athletes shift their mind into actually believing that they can develop their speed? Like, what do you feel like will help them really understand that speed is trainable?
A lot of times it is just a mindset. They really have to believe it. So I'll get athletes that come in here and we just want to try it out. And sometimes they just don't believe in it. And so of course they're not going to get faster. And I work off two models. A lot of times if they're a young athlete, I work off the long-term model. It's slow. It's not going to happen overnight because we want to train and attack it, especially for youth athletes, three different ways. The motor development, just the learning the motor skills, the motor development, linking it up with the body. And then the last part is when they hit puberty, then we start building muscle. Understand, we live in America. We want it now. Fast food, fast money, fast cars. Everything needs to be fast. But when we talk about youth development, that is what it is development. And development is not overnight. So we want to attack it and get them to believe in us. They have to believe first. Once they believe and buy in, and to me, that's not a reflection of the child. That's the reflection on us. We want them to believe first. So it all starts out with expectations. It all starts out with having structure, selling the structure, letting them know, hey, this is how we do it. And setting that expectation that if it's a youth athlete and we explain that to them, and the way we do is through our discovery call, we talk about what are your goals? Well, if speed is your goal, I can get you faster in that one day, but you're not going to see any improvement for a long, long time. But what we do know is you're going to get faster with consistency, with good effort, and really just deliberate practice.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that you talk about like focus on your journey, your speed. Like, look at, being in the Pacific Northwest, we think a lot about mountains. And so my reference when it comes to full potential is like, if you're a Mount Rainier, like, or say you're Mount Adams, like smaller mountain, and you keep looking over at Mount Rainier, like you're never really going to reach your potential. You're never going to really reach your peak. And so whatever that is, speed, just training in general, whatever that is, like, focus on your potential, not everybody else's, basically.
Correct. And I try to tell the kids, leave that to us. Leave that to the coaches. Do less worrying, right? Don't be hard on yourself. Let us be hard on you. Just take the feedback and go, right? Not that I'm going to be hard on them in our facility. In a team setting, that'd be different. But in our facility, we won't be hard on you. We want you to push yourself. And most kids, that 99% of the kids that come here, I don't ever have to push. And I tell parents that right away. I'm not going to push your start button. If they get done 15 minutes early, that's not on me.
One thing I wanna dig into more is, the USR piece, the piece about like actually measuring speed and why it's valuable. Because I mean, a lot of athletes, they're like, well, I think I'm getting faster, or they're kind of like unsure type of thing. And I know not everyone's gonna have access to a speed lab, but like, why is it so valuable? And even like, where can it potentially be harmful to overdo the numbers?
Yes. So the value, I'll start off with the good end. The
Yeah.
value you find in that is holding yourself accountable. If you see where you're at, you should, and you know where you're trying to go. It gives you a pathway, gives you data points to say, hey, I'm here and I want to go there. How do I get there? And that's where the coach comes in. We want to help solve that piece of the puzzle. Want to, let's say, over a course of a year, I need to investigate, and that's where the kid can go into their own site, their own profile, and say, "Hey, coach, it's been 7 months. I'm stuck. What's going on?" That should perk a coach's ears up really fast, and really be a dig at your ego. All coaches have egos. We should be egoless, but we don't. We don't go into this egoless because when everything goes wrong, the head coach gets blamed. And it should be me. And again, I'm going to take extreme ownership and find out what is going on and investigate. And that is the value in that. If you're only going by the numbers, LeBron James versus Kobe Bryant. LeBron James guys, they argue about his numbers. He's got the most stats, the most numbers, the most this. He's compiled a lot of data points, a lot of numbers, but he has less championships. And then they say, well, it's a team sport. You're right. But in basketball, 1 out of 5, he's 20% of the team. Let's look at those numbers and how much do they contribute to winning. The whole goal is to win a championship. Kobe has 5. Michael Jordan has 6 in less time. Jordan has 6 championships in what, 15 years? Kobe had 5 in 20. Magic Johnson had 5 in 12 years. I don't count his last 2 stints. Those numbers are astronomical. That winning percentage is high. So, but if we over scrutinize numbers and we just go by numbers, you're losing value in the experience. If you're a LeBron James fan, be a LeBron James fan. Don't argue about the numbers. Enjoy him for what you have right now. He's not going to play forever. Enjoy it. It's not all about the numbers. So you have to take all of that as well. You want to use the numbers to your advantage to get better, not to win an argument.
Yeah. One,
That's crazy to me.
yeah.
You want to scrutinize numbers to help you get better, but you don't want to agonize over them and hold yourself back. And that's what we could do with those numbers. Sometimes the kid will look at the numbers like, I didn't get faster today. I'm a failure. You're not looking at it. You're not looking at it the right way. Maybe you're not feeling good today. The numbers are supposed to help us solve more problems, give us more insight versus what we see with our own 2 eyes. We want to build that big picture. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. When I think about it as in like this especially relates to an athlete who's trying to lean out and they're trying to decrease body weight is a lot of them only focus on what's on the scale. And this is adults do this, everybody does this,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you only focus on what's on the scale, but you don't look at, oh, hey, my clothes are fitting better. Oh, hey, I'm hitting the ball harder. I'm faster. Like all the other metrics, it's like the scale is like it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not, it's not the whole thing. And so looking at, like you said, the bigger picture can really allow you to be like, actually, no, I am progressing. It's just, this is just one measure of my progress essentially. And in your
100%.
case, it also takes a while. Like, it's not a, fix it in a week type of thing.
That's right. You're not going to lose 20 pounds in a week. I wish. I'm not going to lose 20 pounds in a week. It's really, really hard to lose a pound, a real pound, not water weight or whatever, right? Not all weight is equal, just like you said. So 100%. That's
Yeah.
a great analogy. Thank you for that. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. What I also want to get into is more of the practical piece. I know for athletes, it's all about like how can I implement, what can I do differently, and I want to hit on some of the myths, mistakes, etc. And so, first thing I want to ask is like, do athletes need a million different speed ladder drills to get faster?
I would say no. You don't need a million drills. So what I tell people is I have a system. I use the Speed Lab, the USR system basically. and I make it my own, right? And again, I'm on the long term model. If I do a million different drills, how can I measure if they've gotten better? So we want to train to something, and yes, we want to adjust it for the person. So I try to fit the I have a system. A system is a system, or a plan is a plan until it's time to execute. We say that in the military. I say that in the military, when I was in the military. As a navigator, we plan all day. We spend one day mission planning, and then we go execute. That whole plan can go out the window just like that. It does not matter. What matters is what's in front of you. So take what I say with a grain of salt as well. Every situation is different. Every athlete's going to be different. Coach the athlete, not the system. That's what's most important, the person in front of you. At least that's what I think. Do I have a system? The system is supposed to help me streamline the process so we're more efficient at coaching whoever walks in the door. And when they walk in the door and I have them and I get to understand them, then we can even dig deeper and get faster and apply different drills. But the drills that we teach is going to effectively change the way they run, broken up. We basically take a snapshot of a movement and we want them to execute that one snapshot in one drill. And then we try to build it all together. It's really hard. And I have to shout out Les Spellman. If you look back at his videos 2, 3 years ago, it was a lot of education, a lot of free content. He has one with Juggernaut Training, I believe. It's 17 minutes, 17-minute clip. And he goes over basically everything I kind of teach in here in 17 minutes. That's free, right? You can try and copy that and you will get faster just by doing those drills if you were consistent with it. And you don't need to spend half hour on it. If you did 5 minutes every single day or 5 minutes and separated those days just doing those drills and really scrutinizing yourself in a mental happy place where you're not beating yourself up, you're going to get better. Because that's what kids would do back in the day when they would go out and shoot basketballs, in the 80s. They'd watch their hero on TV and then they'd go outside and mimic the move. And then they'd go try it out against a real live person, but they were having fun. That mental piece is so huge about it. A lot of people don't like training in the garage. They like training in a group setting at Gold's Gym because there's other people there. They feel like I have to push myself harder because I'm in front of all these people. Not that anyone's looking at you, but that's just a mental thing. They're more comfortable pushing themselves there. Knowing yourself, holding yourself accountable, and understanding, having a generalized system, but learning to fit it into the athlete or the athlete fitting into themselves and finding what works and what doesn't work is the beauty of that puzzle. That's what we're trying to do. And I'll be honest, it's all a guess. Everything is a guess. If I knew it, how to make you faster right away, I would be rich, right? Come here, I'll make you faster. I guarantee it. We don't guarantee anything, I can't. There's so many variables that go on: time, injuries, schedules, do you need to lose 30 pounds to get faster? Or do you need to get stronger to get faster? That's not going to come overnight. It's a really complicated puzzle, which I enjoy trying to solve. It's fun. And I understand, like Les Spillman, I went and visited Les Spillman when he's during combine training, trying to get these guys drafted to go from 4.8 to 4.5 so they get drafted in the first round or second round versus the sixth round. They are on the short model. One, you could do that because they're already strong. What they have to do is learn the movements on how to move their body more efficiently. It's almost like Olympic training. Like, I'm doing one event. This one event matters so much. It's the 40-yard dash. I have to get a 4.5. So they break it down very methodically and they go through very methodically and very deliberately on each phase of their run. Even just one foot contact. We go through one foot contact and he'll have data. He'll have his masseuse. He'll have his physical therapist. He'll have all those guys getting them prepped for one event. And it's amazing to watch. And he's got his system, but he also coaches the athlete and what they need. So he'll go down. When he got home, he flipped up his laptop and he was quiet for about 40. He was working for 45 minutes to an hour, putting in data, reading data, understanding data, trying to set up for the next day, and sending out emails to his cohorts in Orange County on, like, hey, this is what we're going to do for this guy and this guy. It becomes individualized. So you have a system until you have to individualize it for the athlete. And sometimes you just have to go off script. And this year he said, I didn't do any drills. I didn't teach them how to do the A series. I did not do any of that this year. He's like, I just wanted to see if I could get them faster without doing it, because they're such high level athletes. Because a kid that doesn't know how to do how to to do a switch, you know, he might not be able to do a switch, but he can still run fast. What am I wasting time for doing that? I mean, that's my thinking on it. A lot of times he said, I just have to get them to recover. They're beat up from football season. I only have 2 months. I need them recovered for the first 3 weeks and learn, and then we execute. And it's a fun, stressful process for him, especially with agents calling him and this, that, and the other. But it was something to watch and inspiring to somewhat try to get to at a different level, not that level. I don't think I ever want to be at that level, but just be in this area in Oklahoma City, uh, in the surrounding areas. We want to be regarded as a person of influence in regards to speed and helping athletes get better. That's what we want.
Yeah. What are some of those key things that are in your framework that are like essential for athletes to be either doing or understanding?
One is to be mentally prepared, eager to learn. I think, and that's all personal. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the athlete. We set up a framework, but they have to execute. And that's another thing where I give them all the credit every single time. I saw a clip of LeBron James. uh they caught him because he's always got cameras on him, poor guy. He's got cameras on him all the time. So everything he says gets scrutinized. And this could be scrutinized a certain way, right? His son scores a bucket at Summer League, and the camera goes to him and says, he got that from me, right? And that could be looked upon as, wow. So everything is from you. It's always about you, right? So we never want to be looked at that way. We just want to know, we want people to know that we helped, but I don't want to take credit for the work the athlete did. He did all that work. He listened. He executed. He went through the struggles. He came in when he was sore and tired. I didn't. I'm here regardless if he's here or not. How much credit do I really get? Obviously, we all want credit for what we do and we want recognition. That's just human nature. But I do. I really, and my wife says I do it too much. Like, no, you were there. You did this, did that. I get that, but I didn't run that 40-yard dash. I didn't run that 20-yard split. I didn't score that touchdown. The kid did. He gets all the credit. I'll post him, and get residuals right from that. But I really am just congratulating the kid. And when I go to a sporting event and watch one of my athletes play, I'm not there as a coach. I'm there as a fan. Yes, I'm branded gear, whatever, geared up, but I'm not ever gonna supersede my boundaries of his sport coaches coaching them there. That's not my lane. I want their coaches to get credit too because they're the one that put them in the position to win, to score that touchdown. I don't want to take anything away from those high school coaches that put in tons of hours and pour into those kids. So it's tough, it's tough to really balance all that. But the main thing is it's about the athlete. Make it about the athlete. If you make it about the athlete, you should not go wrong. You should not. It's hard to go wrong when you do that. And then the framework is very simple for us. We don't really change them up. It's on the board and behind me. We do the same things almost every day. I might change it up and throw a curveball at them just to see if they're mentally awake. I might tweak something, but the generality is the same. We'll do starts, acceleration on one day, and then the next day that they come in, it'll be top speed. And then if they come 3 times a week, it's the fun day. It's change of direction day, right? So we get to play games. We do agility things. We talk about break, plant, separate. I get that from Tony Villani. And reaction time. Again, consuming content. If you cannot read and react in your sport, but you're fast, you're not fast. You have to read and make decisions fast and then execute. That's the second piece, and people don't understand that either. Just because I get your kid fast here, my kid's fast here, but he's not playing fast in his game. He's probably not watching film. He's not understanding the offensive or defensive concepts of his team. Those things play a factor. It's not one thing. It's all of it. You have to pour into the child. They have to fill many, many buckets, and they have to be happy doing so. Quality of life is so huge in all of that. So that was probably a long, complicated answer to what you asked. But what we do in here is focus on the athlete. We do the same drills over and over so we can measure and progress. And I tell the kids, I cannot progress you to a different drill until I feel like you got this down. And so those things matter. And then and then just measure and then go back to the drawing board and then attack the next day when we see them and say, what did we do last time? Let's get better today compared to what we did last time. Or what did we not do good? and asking the kids for feedback, getting them to speak up and own their journey as well. That's a huge one for me. Like, I want my kids to come in and complain to me, right? And actually whine. I actually tell them that because I coach my son and his best friends. I had a group of kids that played varsity football, and they would train in the morning, go to football practice, and after football practice, they would come to me. So they were exhausted, and I would look at them and I would tell them, 80s, 90s mentality. I mean, y'all being soft. Like, stop whining, stop complaining. Let's go, get to work. Instead of sympathizing and actually listening to the athletes that they were being vulnerable and saying, tired. But that's what they're really saying. I'm tired. And I failed them. I lost their trust, And as I pushed them more, I pushed them further away instead of bringing them closer. If I would have listened to them, I should have filled their buckets a different way. I should have did more mobility and recovery modalities versus pushing them more, and that's a failure that I take on. That's my response. That's my fault. I didn't read the room. And so I lost their trust, as I should have. And so I try not to do that now. And that's what I tell parents too. I have to earn their trust. I shouldn't just be given it just because I've made so and so fast. I still need to earn their trust. And you have to be humble and able to do that, and do we earn it? How do we earn their trust? By making it about them, because that's what it is. And one of the things I tell them is, I don't care about the equipment. I rather the equipment break than you break. It's easy to replace the equipment. It's harder to replace you. So don't get hurt in here. Let me know how you feel. And so that's a big selling point. I'm trying to earn points with them to earn their respect and their trust. Because that's what we're really trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I love that you really emphasize the mental side of it first, because with anything, with nutrition, with all the things that we do, like, we have to make sure that we or our athletes in the right mindset. Because if you say you want to get faster but you're not showing up, or you're showing up with lackluster effort, like, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, of course you're not going to see progress if you don't really commit to the process and all of that. And so, yeah, like, I think the mental piece is always the first step to anything. And then from there, it's like, okay, now it's just showing up consistently, getting better at how you show up. And then, the results will speak for themselves.
100%. Leave it all on the line, right? Having that right mindset is going to get you there. It just is believing in the process. It's no different than flying the same mission over and over. You talk about boring, So our missions would be, we would fly up to our airspace, and we would loiter for about 3 hours, and then we'd break it up. We'd have to get gas and go back and loiter for 3 more hours. So it'd be like a 10-hour mission. 2 hours to get out there, 3 hours. We'll get an hour to get gas, come back another 3 hours, and then fly back home. That's a long day. There's a lot of downtime, but you have to be deliberate in all of your checklists. When it's game time, it's game time. You have to be in the right mindset. And the biggest thing of that also is being well rested. We have rules in our AFIs, Air Force instructions, on crew rest. We're afforded 12 hours of uninterrupted contact. If you call us in those 12 hours, it rehacks our clock. And now you can't use me anymore. That's how important it is about rest and recovery. We don't just, if we go from the US to another continent, to Europe, we are afforded 16 hours to turn over at a minimum, So after we land, we're not supposed to fly for 16 hours again at a minimum. So that affords us time to get into our billeting room, 8 hours of sleep, because we want 8 hours of uninterrupted crew rest sleep. And then we have in that 12-hour window. And if we don't get that, we're not going to fly. It's just too dangerous. People really don't understand the power of sleep. We take it for granted. People, we used to glorify that. Hey, I'm only getting 5 hours sleep because I'm working so hard. You're just going to fall. You're going to break down. So we try to not make that a masculine thing or a bravado thing or something to be proud of. We want to make sleeping and crew rest or recovery your superpower. Nutrition, sleep to fuel the next day. Like, it is a must. And that's why NBA players, they talk about NBA players, they have the worst schedule. Football players probably have the best. They know their schedule, period. Basketball players, they have to travel. They might get done with the game and then they'll go fly. You know, I like the theory of people lifting after game day. or right after their game, they lift right then and there because they're already at that spike. They're at that adrenaline high. They're already at peak, and then especially for the guys that did play, that's a good time for them to lift too. I didn't get that many minutes, so I get to go harder because I didn't play that many minutes. I get to maintain or get better during in season. And then guess what? I get an actual off day to recover. I don't have to worry about lift. I don't have to worry about shoot around. I got it all in. I'm getting actual rest. And then I can go do it again. And that's so huge. But everyone is different. Some athletes might not like that. I get it. If you played 30, 35 minutes and you scored 30 points, you're probably going to be tired. You don't want to lift after. I get it. Maybe you do some recovery modalities, some hip flexor work, some ankle stuff, some, shoulder work, some massage, and then go recover fully. Like those types of things that you just have to be creative in finding out what's best for the athlete. Again, make it about the athlete. Probably won't go wrong. And that's hard.
Yeah. One, I like that you mentioned the NBA too, because there's actually research that's been out there where they've actually been able to predict the likelihood of a team winning based on their schedule because of the travel piece of it, because the sleep. And so, and I really like, for those listening, like really look into the training, all of the requirements for the Air Force. Like I've even talked to athletes who like they want to do that when they're done and understand like the amount of requirements. Like you said, sleep is an example, but you also think of the mental things of like, I've known people who are immediately barred because they had a history of depression or anxiety or whatever. So it's like when you think about being an elite athlete, like think about the straight how strict the Air Force and things like that are, and how can you emulate that in your training and your development to really elevate yourself to a higher level through addressing the things that nobody else is addressing, basically.
We have to read the athlete. We have to do our best. We have to do our due diligence. We have to research and find out what makes that athlete tick. We have to earn their trust. And he should not trust me ever, from the way as a parent. But I'm human. I'm learning, and that's a huge lesson to learn about being a parent and a coach. Understand the person in front of you. It's not about just the system. So that's what we have those numbers and systems in place so you can make better decisions. And you can't have such a big ego that it's going to work. It's my way or the highway. It is so difficult to really separate that, especially as a coach and dad. My son's looking at me like, "You're dad. I don't want to hear you right now." And that's why I try, like my other son, he's 11. He plays basketball. I want him to have as many different coaches that is not me. That is so hard, though, because you want the coach to hold your son accountable, but they're not going to hold him accountable the way you would. You still need to find that balance, and it's hard. So it's a struggle.
So we only have a couple more minutes. What I really want to do is give you space to be like, what are the most like essential things that you want athletes to take away from this, or from just maybe things we didn't even talk about that you're like, yeah, these are the top one, two, things that you're like, you really got to do this if you want to get faster.
The biggest thing about speed training is to be consistent with it. Not do a whole bunch of different drills. A lot of it is mental, right? So understanding, I always talk about the three P's. Again, I got this from Les Spelman. Posture, having the right body shapes, to get into running fast. If you don't know how to put your body into those postures, those positions, you're just not going to run fast. And every body is different. Everyone's got different leg lengths, different squat form. People argue about squat form and this, that, and the other, or which exercises to use. People are married to exercises. They should not be married to exercise. They should be married to the athlete, caring about the athlete, getting into the right postures. And then the mental part is getting into the right patterns, moving that posture into the correct patterns in the correct frequencies in order to generate speed. And then the last P is power. You have to generate the correct force. Now that could be musculature, or it could be neural, or it could be, your tendons. So your Achilles tendon, I tell people it's like a spring. It doesn't move a lot. Muscles relax and they contract. There's a lot of movement. Tendon should just shift a little bit, right? And that's what we talk about, the spring action. Your ankles are so huge in creating and generating force into the ground, actually transferring force, right? Your glutes and hamstrings, the glutes generate the force into the ground, but your ankles is what transfers it. The longer the Achilles tendon, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they have long Achilles tendon, they're going to be able to generate force better. They're going to, express it better. is going to transfer faster. They jump higher, run faster than most people. So having big muscular calves does not necessarily mean you're going to be fast. It will kind of dictate if you're strong and generate power, but in order to express it, you have to generate force in the right frequency, postures, and patterns in order to go from point A to point B fast. And it's just distance over time. We kind of overcomplicate speed training with all the gurus and social media. There's a lot of chaff out there, and what we want to do is be consistent with our message, and that it can be taught, not purely genetic. We can get you faster with the proper program suited for you. We do use the system, and we try not to cookie cutter it for everyone because everyone's different. So we try to get you into the right shapes for you, and that's a difficult process. It is, especially if you have no history or background on it. I try to study almost every day. When I get on my treadmill run, I'm on YouTube or I'm reading something, and that is part of the fun. That is the process. And for me, it's fun. It's not work. And every kid is going to be different. Don't compare yourself to another athlete at a different stage. The best 10-year-old is not going to be the best 18-year-old. Everyone has their own journey. Stick to your journey, find out what works, and have fun with the process. Sports are meant to be fun. It's supposed to be, but take it seriously, but it can still be fun and be serious. A lot of the times when I was deployed, it was hard, but there were fun moments that I remember. And when you're in it with your teammates, that's what's most memorable is when you go through something hard and get over it on the other end and you see success on that end. You can enjoy that victory together. And that's what we want our athletes to always really understand that they went through something hard and they, on the other end, they came out better for it. And that's what we always want to do in this lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, there was a lot of good stuff. I love that again you address the mental side of it and address the framework side of it. And so yeah, that I mean for the athletes out there really lean in on that and really identify what are those key pieces of what coach just said are the things that you need to focus on right now. Like really reflect on that. I'm always about taking action. So look at what are those pieces of that last 2 minutes, whatever that was, like really focus on that and be like, what is it that I need to work on right now to get better? Probably is going to be the mental piece, to be honest, but there might be some other pieces.
Yeah, the
But yeah,
mental
so
piece, if you're not ready to go, you're not going to execute. You're just not.
yeah, yeah,
Understand what the coach is trying to teach you. That is the first part. He's trying to give you information, and you have to consume that again, consume that content and execute. And then your body has to be able to handle it. Your brain and your body has to be able to handle those that stimulus. Our sprint techniques is just a stimulus. We're just trying to get you to get into those shapes and generate force right now. And it's just practice. Have fun with it. Mess up. Let me coach you. Let your coach you and learn from it. And then take video because we have that technology. Take video and dissect it, but have fun with it. Have fun looking yourself on the screen and figure out what can I do better. That should be fun. I remember as a kid, if I had a VCR highlight video game or a videotape of my games, I bet you I was watching it. That was hard to come by when I grew up. Probably for you too. It's enjoy what the technologies you have, use it to your advantage, and then just streamline and weed out all the noise. Cancel the noise. There's a lot of noise out there. Just like you said at the beginning, know your why. Stick to your why. Stay streamlined. Work on work on in this case your weaknesses, and then turn them into your strengths. And speed is a huge part of that. If you can run faster, you're generally going to be able to jump higher too. So that's what we always talk about sprinting with our athletes that want to jump higher. We're going to work on speed also.
yeah. Sweet. Well, yeah, coach, thank you so much for hopping on today. Like there are a lot of good stuff again on the mental and the actual performance side of things. So really appreciate you jumping on.
I appreciate you for having me. And to me, as you already know, they go hand in hand, don't they? There's no mental. You can't do anything physically without the brain side and your vision, seeing, consuming the content, and making a decision. And that's what we want to again take from sports into our life. And that's huge. And that's why we do sports. That's why I love using it as a conduit to serve people more versus just serving my country. I get to serve people more by teaching them the benefits of sports, the good side of sports. I know there's a lot of bad side, but there's a lot of good too. So we always want to do that. So thank you for what you do, and I appreciate you for having us on and recognizing us, and I hope to do more things in the future together.
Yeah. No, definitely. And we'll I want to make sure listeners like check the show notes down below. You guys have coaches links in there, so like check those out. And then as always, keep striving for greatness.